In this video, we're gonna talk about cordless polishers, on whether or not I recommend them, where we actually use them in our operations, and overall, if it's a good choice for you or not. Any of the links that I'll mention, or any of the products that I mentioned, will be in the description box down below. Let's go ahead and get started. So why do you need a cordless polisher in the first place? Well, there's a lot of pros to it. So a few of them being, if you need to do some spot correction or polishing, a cordless polisher is a fantastic fit for that, because instead of, if you're mobile based and you go and you have to go out to the van, get the polisher, get the cord, maybe even turn on the generator or hook it up to the customer's power, turn it on, instead of doing all that, you can literally just grab the polisher out of the van, slap a pad on it, walk to the vehicle and start working. So as far as ease of use, as far as from when you need it to actually working on the panel, you remove a lot of the effort to actually get to that point. So if for spot correction polishing, let's say if we're on a job site and the customer says, hey, like there's a scratch here, can you work on it? That's a perfect example of like, yeah, it's mobile, on the go. Like I'll just go grab it, slap a pad, put compound and work on that specific section. It makes life very easy. You can also use it if you just want to apply wax. So one thing that we love to do is once we're getting close to the end of the detail, to start turning off machines, right? Turn off the generator, turn off the air compressor, turn off the vacuum, because now it's like you kind of feel like the day's winding down and like you're almost done with the detail. So if you run a generator and you need the generator to power the polisher, you need to keep the generator running. But if you have a cordless polisher, you can actually turn off the generator much sooner and just use the polisher to apply the wax. And so we actually have a polisher that we dedicate to just applying wax. But even any of the other polishers that we have, you can use that to apply wax. So another great benefit other than spot correction and polishing is if you are working on just flat surfaces, a cordless polisher can help out fantastic, because a problem which I'll speak to later is that on some of the curved panels, you just can't finesse it as well as you can with like a corded polisher. So on just flat surfaces, like large doors, like the van that you see behind me, like just working on flat, large surfaces, it is fantastic for that. Another thing that you might want to use your cordless polisher for, again, this is more of a convenience use, not so much of a, like this is a much better thing to do, is to dry like after you wash and clean your pads, to dry them instead of again getting out the polisher, hooking it up, getting an electrical cord. We just get the polisher on the pad, we go outside, turn it on, and we let it wring out that way. Or we put the polisher in a bucket and then we turn it on and let it spin out. But again, that's just more of ease of use and convenience, not so much that you can't do this with a corded polisher. So that one might not be the biggest impact, but that's what, like when we wash pads, we will go for the cordless polisher so we can just turn it on. So when shouldn't you use a cordless polisher? So for one, I'm gonna say if you wanna correct an entire vehicle, meaning like actually polish it out, I wouldn't recommend a cordless polisher just because the battery will die on you. Now, let's say you are actually just like polishing it out and you're just flying through the paint and it's gonna take you like 25 minutes to complete and you have 2 batteries on you. Okay, that's pretty fair because you're not really putting that much down pressure, you're not gonna really bog it down, and you're just giving it a light pass. I could see you going through the whole vehicle, assuming the panels are pretty straightforward and not like a bunch of curves. You can do that with a cordless polisher. But if it's a larger truck, if there's curves on there's a lot of curvature, it's not ideal, because primarily more so because the batteries. If you're gonna do like this whole van right here, you're gonna need at least like 4 to 6 to 8 different batteries to keep on going. Now you could just, you drain one out, you put it to charge, you get the other one, you start working on it. But the batteries won't charge fast enough per how fast you're draining it when you're working on the vehicle. So just on the sake of like the batteries, and you're gonna need more of them, I would just use a corded for that. The second part, which you'll find on most polishers, is that there's only 3 settings. The Flex one has 5 or 4 settings, but it's a 1-inch and a 3-inch, so the power is not really there. So for most 5-inch that we've seen, there's only 3 settings: a low, a medium, and a high. And with that, again, if you're working large sections, it works fine. You can put it on medium and just kind of go to town on large sections. But if you're working on a smaller curvature, on a smaller panel, on a side mirror, on a B-pillar, you really want to dial in those RPMs. And with a cordless polisher, you're just not able to do it as well, because you have a bunch of settings to dial in for on a corded polisher, but on a cordless, it's just a little too fast or it's a little too slow, and you just can't really get the speed And then because it's either a little too slow, it's a little too fast, it's gonna kind of manipulate your arm speed on how you're working. And then overall, just like, you're not really getting in a comfortable position because you're not really able to dial in that speed. So, I mean, a lot of times, like, I just needed to go a little faster or a little slower, or just need to finesse it a bit more. But because I only have 3 settings, and 8 out of 10 times I'm on the medium setting, it makes it for a bit more, not as efficient as I'd like. So that's why in those specific circumstances, I would not recommend using the cordless polisher. Now, overall, do I actually recommend a cordless polisher for you to use in some fashion in your operation? Definitely, but it really depends on your situation. Like, I would think about it more as a sidearm, not as your primary weapon. Because like, even now at the shop, like, we're gonna go for a corded polisher most of the time. But it just depends on your situation. If you are mobile and you do a lot of scratch removals or like polishing, or you just need to like quickly grab it, or you want to kind of like use the generator less and less, as far as like when you need to turn it off, my voice is cracked, when you need to turn it off, then yeah, it makes sense. But it really just depends. Now, if you do want to get a cordless polisher, I would first look at the tools that you have already, and then get something that you don't need it for. Meaning, like, if you already have 1 or 2 5-inch polishers, I would not go and get a 5-inch cordless polisher. I would rather you get like a 1-inch or a 3-inch polisher. That way you already have the 5-inch corded polishers, and you can use that as your workhorses around the entire vehicle. But then the 1-inch and the 3-inch, well, you can use that for the A pillars, B pillars, C pillars, the curved areas, maybe the very small areas on the bottom of the fenders. You can use it on the side mirrors. That way you keep the corded working on the larger sections, and then the cordless ones, which is much easier to work around, you can use it for all the finer details. So that's how I would look at it. Like, if you already have a 5-inch polisher that's corded, get like a 1-inch or a 3-inch that's cordless. But again, like, it just depends on your situation. Like, if you already have a bunch of corded polishers and you just want to get into the game of cordless, I mean, I don't know, if you just want a 5-inch to give it a try, you can also do that. It just depends on your situation. But that's gonna wrap up this video. Let me know if you have any comments, questions, or concerns about the corded or cordless polishers. I'll have the ones that we link and a few other ones in the description box down below. If you want to download the ultimate guide to start your detailing business, you want to check out my podcast, the Detailing Business Class podcast, or if you want to check out my second YouTube channel, the Proper Care channel, those will all be linked in the video description box down below. Thank you very much for watching this video. If you don't mind, please just give it one little like, that'll help out, and I'll see everyone on the next one. Bye-bye.